My agent was so desperate to make me famous she got me drunk and dumped me in some tycoon's son's hotel room. He called me shameless. I called him a lecherous pig. We screamed at each other all night until we passed out from exhaustion. The next morning, I woke up to 4 beaming faces crowded around the bed. My parents. And his parents. Oh, thank the heavens. Our 2 little childhood sweethearts are finally making it official. I'm an actress. I love acting, but I hate the schmoozing. Dinner with the director? Not a chance. Any indecent proposals get thrown right back where they came from. My agent, Daisy, was always heartbroken over it. She'd say it was such a waste of a pretty face. If I'd just been a little less proud, I wouldn't still be a C-lister after all these years. Of all the talent she managed, I was the lowest on the totem pole and the most stubborn. She finally snapped. At a wrap party where the investors made a surprise appearance, she started pushing drinks on me like crazy, which was totally out of character. I'm a total lightweight, so I was completely wasted. Before dinner was even over, I had passed out face down on the table. In a daze, I felt Daisy dragging me somewhere. She was huffing and puffing. Geez, you're heavy as a sack of bricks. I'm 5 feet 8 inches on a good day, and for this role, I had to play a voluptuous beauty, so I'd bulked up to 138 pounds. That was a lot for her 5 feet 3 inches frame to handle. Humph. Serves her right for getting me drunk. She deserved it. Beep. The sound of a key card unlocking a door. After being dragged a few more feet, I was tossed onto a soft bed. Daisy started taking off my clothes. Wow, how thoughtful of her. I let her do whatever she wanted, too lazy to even move a single hair on my head, and passed out again. Until a familiar male voice, like a clap of thunder, echoed through the room. What the hell are you doing in my bed? I pried my heavy eyelids open. Holy crap. Are you an exhibitionist or something? Richard had just gotten out of the shower with nothing but a towel wrapped around his waist. He rolled his eyes. You're not exactly wearing a winter coat yourself, you know. I looked down. Oh, my God. I was basically ready for a lingerie photo shoot. I yanked the blanket over myself and glared at him. What are you doing in my room? Huh? Richard looked baffled. Listen, Miss High and Mighty, just so we're clear, this is my room. I sat up in bed, clutching the blanket, completely in shock. I couldn't believe Daisy would actually throw me into some guy's bed. By now, Richard had gotten dressed. He poured me a glass of warm water and handed it to me. I reached for it, but he didn't let go. I looked up. He was squinting at me, thoroughly pissed off. Be honest. How many times have you pulled a stunt like this? Oh, hell no. That was it. I grabbed the glass and flung the water straight onto his fresh change of clothes. If you don't know how to talk like a decent human being, then shut your mouth. Richard slammed the glass down, his eyes looking like an active volcano ready to erupt. Getting yourself drunk on purpose, getting a key card from the front desk, stripping down and lying in bed. Emily, it's been a few years. Have you completely lost your damn mind? I stood up and slapped him right across the face. I already told you, my agent did this on her own. Yeah, right. Tell me another one. He grabbed my wrist, gritting his teeth. You think she'd have the guts to do it without your permission? Sleeping your way to the top. Real classy. I was already dizzy, and now I was so angry I was seeing stars. I bit down hard on the back of his hand, and he yelped, letting go. I rubbed my sore wrist. And what about you? You seem awfully familiar with this whole routine. You must be an expert. God knows how many women you've taken advantage of. I gave him a taste of his own medicine. Heh. A few years go by, and you, the great heir, have gotten even more depraved. Playing with women, driven by lust, you're disgusting. You little. Neither of us would back down. We stood there, necks stiff, and argued all night. When the sun started to rise, I couldn't take it anymore. I'm going to sleep. We can continue this when I wake up. Agreed. I slept like a log. So deeply that I didn't even notice when people came into the room. Click, click. TSK, TSK. Look at these two. They look like a married couple. I told you they only pretended to break up. They're totally fine behind the scenes, but you didn't believe me. Okay, you were right. Your eyes are sharp as a hawk's. So loud. I slowly opened my eyes. We stared at each other. 10 eyes in total. I must have woken up too fast. I was seeing my parents and Richard's parents. I squeezed my eyes shut again. This has to be a dream. Dad? Mom? I heard Richard's trembling, incredulous voice beside me. I snapped my head toward the 4 smiling faces hovering above me. All 4 of them grinned. Morning, sweetie. Morning, son. I turned to look at Richard, and I saw the same panic in his eyes. We were so screwed. No matter how much Richard and I tried to explain, they refused to believe we were innocent. My mom, oh, don't be shy. We're very open-minded. Richard's mom, son, you can't be one of those scumbags who uses a girl and then dumps her. My dad and Richard's dad, we should set a date. Me and Richard, life is meaningless and no one believes us. It was Richard who first realized something was off. How did you guys know we were here? My mom held up her phone. We saw it trending online. On the screen was a news headline. Trending topic, actress barges into tycoon's son's hotel room. The photo was a screenshot from the hotel security camera, with Daisy completely photoshopped out of the picture. Same room number. I had gone in just 10 minutes before Richard. I went in first, and Richard followed. No wonder Daisy had been rushing me into the room, even though she was out of breath. She was afraid she wouldn't get me in there before Richard got back. The comments section was a war zone. Is that Emily in the screenshot? Who's Emily? Never heard of her. What has she been in? Wannabes have to sleep their way to the top. She dares to mess with that guy? He's not an easy one to get into bed with. One wrong move and you're blacklisted from the industry. LOL, she saw what happened to Jessica and still went for it? She must be desperate for fame. Jessica used to be the queen of period dramas. She had a classic, elegant look but could never land a good role in a modern series. So, she set her sights on a modern drama Richard was investing in. After all, young, handsome investors like him were rare. A one-night stand? It was hard to say who would come out on top. Then, Richard threw her out of his room, half-dressed. Her career came to a screeching halt right then and there. Afterward, Richard posted on X, "Try to pull a stunt like this on me, and your career is dead." When I saw that post, I scoffed at him from behind my screen. A guy who played around so much behind the scenes, pretending to be so pure. Who was he trying to fool? My head was pounding from the hangover, especially after seeing the news. I'd been in the business for 4 years, getting by purely on my acting skills. I truly love being an actress, and I don't really care about my status. If I did, all it would take is a few words from my dad. My full name is Emily Lee. Emily is my stage name. The Lee family is second only to the Chens in our social circle. Our families have been friends for generations. Richard and I are only a month apart. I'm a Scorpio, and he's a Sagittarius. One is a sharp-tongued cynic, the other is a walking powder keg. We've never gotten along. The slightest disagreement and we'd be at each other's throats. Me and him, having a thing? That would be like Mars colliding with Earth, mutual destruction. Impossible. Never in this lifetime. Besides, we hadn't seen each other in almost 3 years. If it wasn't for Daisy's little scheme, we probably would have gone the rest of our lives without speaking. I mouthed to Richard, "What do we do?" He got the message and flashed a fake smile at our four parents. Why don't you guys go ahead? Emily and I have something to talk about. Oh. The sound hung in the air. I couldn't bear to look. How could four people with a combined age of 200 make such a mischievous, undignified sound? We get it, we get it. We're leaving. As we watched them leave the room, Richard and I let out a long sigh in unison. For the first time ever, we shared a sense of camaraderie, born from a shared misery. I collapsed against the headboard and asked Richard, "How are you planning to handle this?" For once, he didn't argue with me. "Whatever you want. I'll fully cooperate." My snarky side took over. My. What have I, a humble C-list actress, done to deserve the great heir himself deigning to cooperate with me? He pulled out his phone. Fine. I'll call my dad right now and tell him we've decided. We're getting married next week. Don't. I'm begging you, I said, putting my hands together in a prayer. Please, be the bigger person. Richard was the kind of guy who would absolutely do something that petty, even if it hurt him too. Back in middle school, he wrote a love letter to a girl, and his parents found it. He was about to get a beatdown from both of them when the little jerk shouted, "I wrote it for Emily." I was just minding my own business at home when this mess landed in my lap. It was the most ridiculous thing I'd ever heard. What was even more ridiculous was that both sets of parents totally believed it. I asked him what his evil plan was. Richard said, "I saw that no one was asking you out, so I thought I'd give you a taste of what puppy love feels like." Oh, thank you so much. You're just the best. It made my parents so nervous. They were terrified we'd do something we shouldn't at that hormonal age. Their attitude was, "You can date, but only after you turn 18. They started monitoring me every day, driving me to and from school, and they even took away my phone. And that cool, aloof guy whose heart I had finally started to melt with my relentless efforts? He thought I was playing games by ignoring him and never spoke to me again. In high school, Richard promised my parents he wouldn't let his crush affect my studies. And he definitely wouldn't let any other guys get a chance to distract me. You've got to be kidding me. Thanks to him, I didn't have a single boyfriend before I turned 18. In college, he'd tell me, "Guys are no good, stay away from them." Meanwhile, he was a total player, a different girl on his arm every week. I don't know about other guys. But him, Richard Chen, was definitely no good. Later, I went into acting, and he took over his family's business. In the blink of an eye, we were both pushing 30. You can't mess around at this age. One wrong word, and you could end up married. I hung my head. Maybe we should just let it die down. Let them say what they want. I'll even take the bad press. Richard said, "You really don't want anything to do with me, do you?" I looked at him, surprised. His face was backlit, and I couldn't read his expression. What a question. Duh. Richard slammed the door and left, his face dark. I was just about to suggest we add each other back on WhatsApp. You know, just in case something came up and we needed to talk. Well. Since he left, forget it. I picked up my phone and called Daisy. It rang for a long time before she finally answered. Hell. Her voice was barely a whisper. Were you possessed by something stupid yesterday? I know it sounds harsh. But an agent's job is to keep their clients out of trouble, not get them into it. Luckily, it was me. If it had been any other young actress, her career would have been over, just like Jessica's. I thought the way the big boss was looking at you yesterday, there was a spark. A spark? Are you kidding me? So, did anything happen between you two? I called to chew her out, and here she was, gossiping. No comment. People's imaginations are wild. So wild I'm starting to think they don't have brains, just empty space. Since there was no news from Richard's side, and I was standing in front of her perfectly fine, with enough energy to yell at her, Daisy decided that something definitely happened between me and Richard. Idiot. The media was also eagerly watching for any new developments. They waited and waited. 2 days, then 3. Richard finally updated his socials. Pumpkin figured out how to use his talking buttons. What a smart cat. In the video, a big, fluffy orange cat was pressing buttons on the floor with his paw. Daddy. Handsome. Unbelievable. How conceited can one person be? But I had to admit, he was taking good care of the cat. Pumpkin was a little stray I found on the street 3 years ago. He was on the brink of death when I found him. It cost a lot of money to save him. I had him for about 6 months, but my acting jobs took me all over the country, and I just didn't have the time to take proper care of him. On Richard's birthday, I showed up at his door with a cat carrier. Here, birthday present. Before he could refuse, I put the carrier down and ran for it. He'd been scratched by a cat when he was little and had a bit of a trauma from it. But I couldn't find anyone else who could take Pumpkin. My mom is allergic to animal fur, so if I brought him home, I'd be in my 20s and still getting a lecture from my dad. My best friend Mandy has a big dog that goes crazy whenever it sees a cat. And finding someone to adopt him was tough. Pumpkin is a domestic shorthair, and they're harder to place. So, Richard had to be the one. Now, seeing Pumpkin so smart and lively, I was really happy. After all that waiting, he posts a video that has nothing to do with me. The media smelled a story. 3 days later, I was trending again. Richard visits Emily on set, looks furious the entire time. This generation of journalists is so dedicated. Shrug. Ding. A message from my mom. Richard came to visit you on set? That's great. You two should work things out. What on earth? Did she not see the words "looks furious" the entire time? I glanced around and saw Richard heading toward the men's restroom. I put my phone away and followed him in. He was on the phone, wearing headphones, and didn't notice me behind him. Once inside, he hung up and started unbuckling his belt. I said, "Hey there." Richard jumped, nearly losing his grip on his pants. "Emily, are you some kind of pervert?" I saw it. It's pink. I raised an eyebrow. TSK, pink underwear. Richard, you're so bold. What the, it's just the waistband. The rest of it isn't pink. Then he smacked himself on the forehead. Why the hell am I even explaining this to you? I shrugged. Beats me. What do you want? I shot back, same to you. Richard said, that, like, you left on my post yesterday. What was that about? It means what it says. He kicked me out of the men's restroom. Daisy, ever the opportunist, used my trending status to book me a reality show. In 4 years, I'd never been on one. Mainly because I was afraid I'd go off the rails and couldn't control my mouth. I firmly refused. I'm not doing it. You have to. What? The big boss specifically requested you. If you don't go, you won't have any acting jobs for the next 6 months. She knew my weak spot. Damn it. Totally at my boss's mercy. You guys, I can't even. The show she booked me on was a horror-themed escape room. I, Emily, am afraid of nothing. Except the dark. And when I get scared, I start cussing like a sailor. Before the show started filming, Daisy conveniently forgot to tell me it was going to be live-streamed. I only realized it when the crew started putting GoPros on all the guests' heads. Help me. I was counting on the editors to bleep me out. Live-streamed? What was I supposed to do? Treat the audience to my personal dictionary of curse words? Well, I was already here. Might as well roll with it. Worst case scenario, I'll just end up trending again. I'm used to it by now. There were 6 guests on the show. 2 comedians, a male idol, and 2 other actresses. Unfortunately, I didn't know any of them. No friends, so no matter how scared I got, I'd have to face it alone. Sigh. So lonely. The moment the blindfold went on, my body went into overdrive. My arms and legs started shaking uncontrollably. When I walked, my legs felt like jelly. Live comments. Am I seeing things? Is she actually shaking? That's a bit much, they just put the blindfold on. You actually believe that? It's obviously an act. I know, but her legs are hilarious, ha ha ha. When we entered the escape room, I could feel the temperature drop. I took off the blindfold. It was pitch black. I couldn't see a thing. Luckily, the two comedians were brave. The four of us grabbed onto the hems of their shirts. That tiny piece of fabric was my only source of security in this whole place. The six of us shuffled forward in the dark. Suddenly, a red light started flashing up ahead, and an alarm blared over the speakers. BZZZZZZT. We all turned to look behind us. A tall man, his face covered in blood, was holding a sparking chainsaw. He charged at us. Ah! Wah wah! Screams echoed everywhere. All six of us scattered in a panic. The path split in two. I was about to follow the others to the left. But then, a jump scare hit me head on. A female ghost with long, messy hair dropped down from the ceiling. We made eye contact. I let out a string of curses. My mouth was working, but my legs had gone offline. I collapsed to the floor, dragging myself toward the right path with my hands. The live comments were a sea of. You can tell she's genuinely terrified. Ulmo, the cursing is so raw and real. Hello? 911? My legs are missing. Screaming, contorting, crawling in the dark. The other guests were long gone. Just as I crawled to the right path and shakily pulled myself up using the wall, a bloody hand landed on my shoulder. I got you. The chainsaw in his other hand was buzzing. It was the chainsaw guy. My scalp tingled. I freaked out. My knees had a mind of their own. Thud. I dropped to the ground. Wah, I want to go home. I want my mommy, my daddy, my grandma, my grandpa. I don't want to do this anymore, wah. If I keep doing this, I'm gonna die young. Life is so precious, you have to cherish it, sob sob sob. A flood of comments scrolled by. She actually cried, for real. That was the quickest kneel I've ever seen, ha ha ha, next time bring some knee pads. OMG, life is precious, you have to cherish it, ha ha ha. The chainsaw man took me to a small, enclosed space. To be more accurate, he carried me. I'm not kidding, I was as limp as overcooked spaghetti. Props to the chainsaw man actor, for real. After bringing me to the room, he locked my hands and feet in iron chains. An announcement came over the speaker, explaining the mission to rescue a teammate. Turns out, there's always one hostage in this escape room, and I was the unlucky one. The doubly unlucky one, since I'm also claustrophobic. When I was 7, I got stuck in an elevator on my way down to buy a popsicle. It was during lunch break, so not many people were around. I was trapped in there all alone for a long time before I was rescued. Ever since then, I've had this problem. And I don't like popsicles anymore. My heart was pounding, and my chest felt tight. I tried to calm my breathing, telling myself, it's just a game. Don't be nervous. Relax. My teammates will be here to save me soon. I can do this. I tried my best, but there was still an overwhelming urge, coming from deep within, to break the chains and escape. What's wrong with Emily? She doesn't look well. Whoa, what is she doing? Isn't that painful? Wait, is she claustrophobic? Thump thump, thump thump. Hew, huh. The sound of my heartbeat and breathing blurred together. My consciousness started to fade. Emily? Emily? Are you okay? I stared blankly at the unfamiliar faces in front of me, my eyelids heavy. Just before they closed, a familiar face swam into my vision. I forced my eyes open, moved my lips, and whispered, "Richard." The next second, I was pulled into an embrace. I curled up in Richard's arms, tears streaming down my face. Wah, I was so scared. It's okay," he said, gently patting my back. "I'm here now. I want to go home." Okay, I'll take you home." He scooped me up in his arms and started walking out, comforting me the whole time. "We're almost out of here. Don't be scared." The live comments went wild. The air just appeared. OMG, OMG, OMG. What is happening? What is going on between them? Is there something wrong with my ears or my eyes? The air can be this gentle? Oh damn, I'm kinda shipping this, what's wrong with me? Trending topics. The Air crashes live broadcast. Richard and Emily are a couple. Richard's softer side. Richard was furious, and the consequences were severe. He said he was going to settle the score with my boss, my agent, and the show's producers. I lay on the VIP hospital bed, pale as a ghost, listening to him chew them out one by one over the phone. No reality show, no acting jobs. Are you some kind of reincarnated Scrooge? Does she need you to find her scripts? I can get her any role she wants for the rest of her life. You're fired. Get out. Hey, I'm the employee here. Is that how you manage someone? Are you that obsessed with money? And you dared to throw her into a man's bed? You should quit being an agent and become a pimp. Wait for a letter from my lawyer. I'll sue you into the ground. He's got a point. Can you use your brain when you make a show? Don't you check the guest's medical conditions beforehand? You saw she was getting a lot of attention lately and just threw her on? If something had really happened to her, could you take responsibility? Don't even think about working in this industry again, you idiot. Richard hung up, still looking like he was about to explode. He paced around the room with his hands on his hips. And those other guests, running so fast like they were rushing to their own funerals. No sense of teamwork at all. Such terrible people. And those two actors, they had to pick on you. I swear, next time I'll hire them as guests, and I'll be the ghost. I'll scare the crap out of them. Pfft, I couldn't help but laugh. What are you laughing at? You almost died of fright and you're still laughing. Are your nerves made of steel or something? Wow, now he's attacking me. Humph. But since he saved me, I'll let it slide. Richard turned his head away, surprised. How come you're not talking back? Why are you such a masochist? Ah, that's more like it. He seemed to relax. If you have the energy to argue, it means you're fine. Thank you. Richard gasped dramatically. Don't. When you say thank you, it scares me. I rolled my eyes at him. This guy didn't deserve a single nice look from me. When my parents found out, they were both worried and angry. They also wanted to go talk to my boss. I told them not to, that Richard had already taken care of it. My boss had apologized to me like a whipped puppy and even gave me a month off. The second the words left my mouth, I wanted to slap myself. Why did I have to bring up the one thing I shouldn't have? Why did I mention Richard in front of them? My mom, oh? He already stood up for you? My dad, well then, our family has to treat their family to a meal to show our gratitude. They were working together like a well-oiled machine. Their true intentions were so obvious. I swear. But this time, I didn't object. We really did owe them a dinner. If it hadn't been for him, I might have become Emily Lee, 199x202x. It was supposed to be a thank you dinner, but anyone who didn't know better would have thought our two families were planning a wedding. My mom and Richard's mom went shopping together the day before. They bought a new outfit for me and one for Richard. Yep. Matching outfits. Forced smile. I wanted to rip the clothes off right then and there. Richard was much calmer than I was. He even let out a casual whistle. Whoa, we actually match. He suddenly lifted his phone. 3, 2, 1, smile. Out of professional habit, I smiled for the camera. Hey, Richard nudged me with his elbow. Let's add each other back on WhatsApp. I'll send you the picture. I took out my phone. You have accepted the friend request. You can now start chatting. So? It's a pretty good picture, right? I opened the photo and nodded. I look great. You, on the other hand, are just okay. He looked at me and smiled, saying nothing. The paparazzi captured this moment and posted it online. Me, looking at my phone, while Richard looked at me, smiling. Emily and Richard in matching outfits. The comments section exploded. I told you there was something going on between them. A few days later and they're already in matching outfits, LMAO. So that first time wasn't a casting couch situation after all. Not necessarily. They could have gotten together after that happened. When are they going to make it official? I quietly saved the photo the media posted online. Why, you ask? I don't know. I just wanted to, okay? I took a nap, and when I woke up, my social media had crashed again. Richard, that troublemaker. He had quote tweeted the comment that said, so that first time wasn't a casting couch situation after all. And added, she was never that kind of person. Ugh. Ugh, hi. Why did he have to jump into this mess? I screenshotted his post and sent it to him on WhatsApp. Are you crazy? I thought we agreed to let this die down. He replied, our parents have met, we've worn matching outfits, and the internet is begging us to make it official, and you're still thinking about letting it die down? Wow, you have a cold heart. Speak English. How about we just make this real? I stared at those words on my screen for a long time, unable to process them. What was he talking about? Was this something we could just make real? He was a total player. I wasn't about to get involved with that. I typed on the screen, no. Reason? I don't like you. The chat showed he was typing. Richard is typing. Richard. Then it just went back to his name. Silence. I stared at his name for a few seconds and then locked my phone. You can always unlock a phone. But some things, once locked, are not so easy to open again. Richard and I went to college in the same city. Our universities weren't far apart, just one subway stop away. As two northerners suddenly thrown into the South, we had a hard time adjusting to a lot of things. It's human nature to stick together in an unfamiliar environment. Even if the other person was once your mortal enemy, you can't help but feel a strange sense of closeness. We started texting each other a lot more, sharing details about our daily lives. On weekends, when we didn't have classes, we'd meet up for dinner or just walk around the city. Together, we explored every corner of that city. Something was brewing between us, changing quietly, but neither of us ever said anything. Two people who had grown up together, who had never seen each other as more than friends, were now facing a new, powerful wave of emotions, and we didn't know how to handle it. But our bodies were more honest than our feelings. We'd be walking side by side, and our arms would brush against each other. When he walked me back to my dorm, our goodbye hug started lasting twice as long. When he gave me a ride on his bike, my hands slipped from the back of his shirt to his waist. I thought it was nice to let things happen naturally. Eventually, we'd hold hands, and then we'd kiss. But somewhere along the way, Richard started taking longer to reply to my texts. Whenever I asked him to hang out, he was always busy. I started to panic a little. I was getting anxious. Without telling him beforehand, I went to his university to find him. He was usually playing basketball around that time. I went to the court, and sure enough, he was there. He was there, patting a strange girl's head, smiling fondly. He had never smiled at me like that. I sent him a text, asking him what he was doing. He heard the notification, pulled his phone out of his pocket, and glanced at it. Just a glance. He didn't even unlock it before putting it back. I remembered what my experienced roommate had told me. When a guy suddenly starts taking forever to reply and is never free to hang out, 9 times out of 10, he's found another girl. Emily, you can't take things so slow. Guys are impatient. They won't wait. I didn't believe her back then. Now I did. I stood under a tree in the distance, heartbroken, watching him unscrew a bottle of water and hand it to that girl. Watching her link her arm through his as they slowly walked away. My heart ached. I didn't take the subway back. I walked, crying the whole way. By the time I got back to my dorm, I had pretty much cried myself out. I'm not the type to drag things out. Since he had found someone new, I would just bow out. It's not like we had ever really started, anyway. Vacations always fly by. In the blink of an eye, it was time to go back to work. This time, I was cast in a historical fantasy drama, playing the second female lead. Well, I guess I'd moved up from C-list to B-list. Hooray for me. This show had a lot of wire work. I hadn't done many period dramas before, and I was always cast as the 4th or 5th female lead, so I never had to use wires. To nail this role, I practiced over and over again. But of course, I had bad luck. An accident happened. As I was being lowered by the wires, the 3rd female lead, who was supposed to be standing off to the side, tripped and fell into the shot. To avoid hitting her, I twisted my body and pulled my back. The pain was so bad I couldn't even stand up straight. The diagnosis was an acute lumbar sprain. I needed to stay in bed for a week. Daisy had been fired, and I hadn't found a new agent yet. All I had was a young intern assistant. She was a fresh college grad who didn't know anything. Having her hovering around was more annoying than helpful, so I just told her to take some time off. I lay flat on my back in my room, from dawn till dusk, with absolutely no appetite. Click. The door opened. Was it the assistant, bringing me dinner? Jenny? It's me. What was Richard doing here? Stop glaring. I know you have big eyes. He was holding a food container. Inside was my absolute favorite braised pork knuckle. I devoured everything in the container like a woman starved. Are you a reincarnated hungry ghost? Why are you eating so fast? I haven't eaten all day. I'm hungry. Hearing that, he frowned. You're injured and you're not even eating properly? How are you supposed to get better? Stop, I covered my ears. Mansplaining. No, thank you. Emily Lee. What? If you have something to say, spit it out. I'm not lecturing you. I'm worried about you. Today's top horror story. Emily Lee. His voice was tinged with anger. What? If he wanted a shouting match, I was ready. I rushed over here as soon as I heard you were hurt, not to listen to you be a brat. Oh, please. Who asked you to come? I didn't need you to. I thought he would get angry and leave this time, too. I underestimated his shamelessness. He plopped down on my bed. You're hurt. I'm not leaving. Then he added, I'll stay here even if you're so mad you could die. Seriously? He was going to be childish about this? I was stunned. Richard took a shower in my room and changed into a pair of pajamas. He looked so relaxed, as if he owned the place. Are you too poor to get your own room? He shot me a look. What are you so nervous about? It's not the first time we've slept in the same room. Who's nervous? It's not the same. Last time was an accident, okay? It's fine. After a few more nights, you'll get used to it. I suspected he was making a dirty joke, but I had no proof. My back hurt. My fighting spirit was at an all-time low. I wasn't going to argue with him. I was going to sleep. I slept soundly through the night. I was woken up by the smell of breakfast. Richard could actually cook. And he was good at it. Seeing him in an apron, he looked like total husband material. No. What a weird thought. Get those thoughts out of my head. I was bedridden for a few days, and Richard stayed in Hengdian and took care of me the whole time. The night before I was supposed to go back to work, I told him he could go home. He crossed his arms. Not leaving. His eyes were fixed on me, stubborn. I couldn't pretend anymore. Richard, stop messing around. That's enough. It's never going to happen between us. Why not? There's no why. It's just not possible. Emily Lee. He grabbed my shoulders. If you're going to sentence me to death, you at least have to give me a reason. You never say anything. It's always the same thing, hot and cold, close then distant. I got angry and pushed his hands away. Don't you dare play the victim here. You're the one who's hot and cold. He looked stunned. When was I? College. Fine. If he wanted to talk it out, I'd talk. The basketball court. The girl with pigtails. You patted her head, opened her water bottle, and then you two walked off arm in arm. Richard looked confused for a few seconds. Oh. I know who you're talking about. His face lit up with realization. That was my roommate's little sister. She. Richard hesitated. I prompted him impatiently, go on. She was only 14, and she had leukemia. She was wearing a wig. I froze. Damn it. I'm such an idiot. Coming to visit her brother for a few days was her last wish. At that time, all of us in the dorm took turns looking after her, terrified that something would happen if we weren't paying attention. Why didn't you just tell me? I was afraid it would make you sad, so I didn't. I figured it was only for a few days. I had no idea you'd get mad about it. You came to campus to see me. Why didn't you tell me? My face felt hot. I lowered my voice. Well, I was kind of there on a mission to catch you cheating. The misunderstanding was cleared up. The atmosphere was a bit awkward for a moment. So. Richard spoke first. He pointed at me, then at himself. Want a date? I thought about it. No. Stop. The word no gives me a headache. Emily Lee, do you even have a heart? What did I do? Richard looked like he was about to have a breakdown. I've liked you since middle school. That's 15 years. How much longer do you want me to wait? I was shocked. Middle school? But wasn't that a joke? Who was joking? He looked even more frantic. I told you I liked you in high school, too. That love letter? It was always for you. But you never gave it to me. I told both our parents I liked you. What do you need a letter for? He had a point. I couldn't argue with that. He continued, I'm so scared of cats, but I still took Pumpkin and I've taken great care of him. You blocked me, and you were always busy filming, so I invested in the show you were going to be in, just so I could see you as an investor. So that's why he suddenly showed up at the wrap party. I was serious when I said I could get you any role you want. Whatever you're interested in, I'll invest in that project. And when our parents said we should make things official, I never once said no. That was true. I scratched my head and asked him, am I really dense? Richard, extremely. Incredibly. The densest person in the entire world. Richard refused to leave my place. His excuse was that he was an investor in the show, so he had to be on set to supervise. We were together every day, in and out, and he was always clinging to my side on set. The paparazzi's cameras never stopped clicking. Richard visits Emily on set. Richard and Emily living together. Richard makes it official. Huh. Wait, what was that last one? Richard had gone back for a few days to deal with a company emergency and took a picture with Pumpkin. He posted it on his socials as his official announcement. On the left was a picture of him and Pumpkin now. On the right was an old picture of me and Pumpkin when he was a kitten. The caption read, Pumpkin misses his mommy. Mommy, come home soon. I picked up my phone and commented on his post. Okay. I was just doing it for Pumpkin's sake. A kitten can't be without his mother.